Steve Cooper. I'm a partner at KPMG in London. So what do manufacturers need to do to prepare for the Brexit eventuality for 2019? There's a number of practical things that they can be doing, and we're seeing more of this happening day by day. So the first thinking would be scenario plan to 2019 and assume you're going to hit a cliff edge. Yeah, assume the worst. You know, we can all hope for the best, but unfortunately I think we've got to plan for the worst. So that scenario planning takes you right the way through, and it's all around things such as inventory management. So work out where your customers are, work out where you think your goods need to be to ensure that they can get there at the right time without any delays, and ensure that you've thought about that logistics, thought about where your warehouses are, whether they're near your market, near your customers, or whether you think you can carry on as is. In a lot of cases that won't be the case. I think some of the other particular issues that are being thrown up are around financing. So the indirect taxation, the tariffs that are going to impact people when you're going over that cross-border trade, which we haven't had for a while because of that customs barrier, that's actually going to mean that you're going to have to find more cash earlier to pay those tariffs and those dues. So ensure that your financing is up to scratch, that you've talked to your bank, and ensure that you do know when you're going to have to pay these monies, because the tax man isn't the most benevolent of creatures, if that's the right way of putting it. So that's a critical area for people. And actually, by the way, just take advantage of the very low costs of borrowing at the moment, because who knows where that will go. The other piece around that, of course, is hedging. And of course, a lot of people have got hedges in place that will probably be running out in the middle of this year, to the extent what can you do on that treasury management, that FX management, both in and out of that goods supply. Supply chain, really important, this one. You need to understand what your suppliers and indeed your customers are doing. How do they feel about what Brexit's going to bring? What are the impacts going to be? You need to understand the criticality of people in your supply chain, that if they went under or if they had supply chain problems delivering to you, what does that mean for you, your businesses and your customers? So really understand that, and that's absolutely critical. The last key point here for me would be, you know, if you view this as a crisis, don't waste it, okay? Work out which of your customers, which parts of your markets will take higher prices, yeah? Because at least a third of you, if not more, are expecting to put through price rises on the back of the input cost rises we've seen from foreign exchange. So don't waste a crisis, get your prices up. So how do manufacturers prepare their workforce for the future? Well, I think there's a couple of thoughts here. One is the existing opportunities that exist. And then, of course, there's what's coming down the line from digitalisation. We've already started in that area. So we have existing shortfalls, existing needs and requirements, and the future. So what we need is a long-term strategy for people. I mean, that's how it boils down. And a lot of thought needs to be put into this, and unfortunately it's going to cost people more money, and that's just one of those things. I'm sorry about that, but it will. Within this, because of the changing dynamics of what people are going to be needed for, with digitalisation, it's different skills. You know, it's digital engineers, it's software engineers, it's cybersecurity folk. All of that is going to mean that when you look forward, you're going to have to ensure you've got the right people coming into your organisations to deliver on what you need. In other words, the right skills. Part of this is collaborating with other companies within your sectors maybe, or tangential sectors, but it's also working with local government and the education system to ensure that, you know, you are influencing people in the local schools, universities, colleges that you can. It's also being part of demanding from government that there are enough teachers who know what they're talking about when it comes to maths and physics and all the sciences, the STEM subjects. And so you have to be part of that, that movement to get that addressed. And we've heard about that for a very long time. So, you know, good luck with that, but you really need to do it. The other piece here is we want folk coming out of universities or indeed schools to come into organisations when they are relevant immediately, not when they've been trained up to deal with the inadequacies of what's been going on previously. So developing new standards and technical qualifications, those sorts of things to make the people you come into your organisations relevant more quickly, more rapidly, and bring value to you in that way, in a far speedier way. And then the last piece is working with government to review of the national curriculum. So businesses, industry, manufacturing are getting the people that they need and want in the right quantities. Now that's a big ask, but it's sort of, we have to do it, because otherwise we will fall behind and we will become uncompetitive. And I'm not saying irrelevant, but life is going to come a lot tougher if we don't address these issues. How prepared is UK manufacturing for Industry 4.0? Well, I think the first point to make is that there is an enormous amount of enthusiasm for digitalisation or Industry 4.0, whatever you want to call it, in terms of the new technologies that are going to dominate in the future. To make this a reality for the UK businesses, is going to require collaboration, a lot of collaboration between business and government. Neither one party or the other can do it without the others, and also the educational system. We have heard from the vast majority of respondents to a recent survey we just issued that they're looking for financial support, more financial support from government to address the needs that they have in R&D. And we know that the UK is way behind the OECD and all our major competitors in research and development. You know, we're pretty hopeless. And the other piece here is also helping businesses in terms of their capital equipment, their technology investments, to ensure that our productivity goes up and that we really are at the cutting edge of everything that needs to be in place for us to be relevant and productive going into the future. So that means explicit investments in particular emerging ecosystems. We can take mobility, or maybe the life sciences, medical devices, obviously key areas for us going forward. And supporting this is a digital infrastructure, say roads as well, but a digital infrastructure which is supporting all businesses in the UK to address the opportunities that come through that. The other piece here is, and we're behind the curve, is implementing global standards around digitalization and cyber. The Germans and the Americans are talking about how they can get that into a single uniform state. The same goes with the EU. We need to be part of it, trying to influence that, but then we need to adopt one that is going to work